Well, as I said, my name is Michael Fornal, and this is my talk on how I managed to break into the information security world with only a tweet and an email. It's thinking. There we go. Thank you. All right, so a little bit about me. For 6 years, I worked as a web producer. And I worked for a travel company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I basically did front-end design, email marketing, the kind of flashy stuff, come take a trip to Aruba. I did get bored. And then, as Jimmy had said, I got bored with that and decided, you know what, I need a change. So I went back to school. I went and I'm in the process of finishing my bachelor's degree in information security and computer forensics from Kaplan University. During that time, to get in, I kept hearing about, you need certain certifications and so on, and thought, okay, well, what's an entry-level certification? Well, the only one that came to mind was the Security Plus for CompTIA. So I went and took that, studied for it. It took like 6 months and really tried to study as hard as I could. Well, and unfortunately, the test was actually harder than I thought it was going to be. So I didn't exactly pass it. You needed 750. I had 715, so, just barely. And with that, I thought, okay, great. So that's an entry-level certification. I didn't get it. What are my chances now of being able to get an actual job now in information security? So I reached out to a couple people, and I reached out to one person in particular on Twitter and said, hey, asked him the question, what are my chances of it? And he had said, well, it's a great one, but it's known in industry, but it's not known. Everyone wants you to have your CISSP and so on. And so him and I kept talking back and forth, and he sent me an email and said, why don't you email me your resume, and I'll take a look at it. I said, okay, so I sent him my resume and kept talking, and he's like, I've got this position available for a security analyst. Why don't you apply for it, see where it goes? At least you can have the ride of interviewing for it and so on. And well, that was October, and went out there in November and to Seattle. And come February 6th, I was hired on, and right now, as of now, I'm a security analyst for Providence Health and Services in Seattle. We are a very large organization. There's about 64,000 employees. We've span all the way from Alaska all the way down to Southern California. And in my division, at least for the information security side, there's about 15 of us. So, my career plan. Social, resume, equals finding a job. This is the plan that I had designed for myself to be able to, hopefully be able to get a job. So you create your networks and your relationships, pad your resume with education and your understanding, build your skills and experience, and all that, like I said, will lead to, hopefully, a job. Create your network. Join Twitter. If you're not on there already, get on there. I've learned more on Twitter, I think, than I have sitting in the classroom. Just because of the fact that it's real world, not to take anything away from the classroom, but this it is true. It is very cheaper, yes. But you actually have people that are actually out in the field that are going through and doing the stuff that you're learning about, and I think you can learn more from them than your professor who's up there who might be in the field but might not and just is teaching for a check. LinkedIn, we all know LinkedIn has been bashed around in the last couple of months with their password, but I still think it holds value. It's a great place to be able to set up your network, to talk with people, to find jobs. I also highly suggest setting up a security blog. It's easy, it's simple, and also join organizations like ISSA and NASIG. So using Twitter to create your network. I highly suggest go into Bill Brenner's site here, go on the Friday Follows. It's about 2-3 pages long, and it has everybody's Twitter handle on there. I suggest taking about 5 people. That's what I did. Start to look at their conversations, see who they're talking to, and start following them. And then eventually you're going to build, people will start to follow you, start to build your network that way. And don't be afraid. You know, there's a lot of conversations that are going on Twitter, stuff from cloud to, you know, the latest company that got popped. You know, ask your questions. You know, we're all knowledgeable here in information security. Say what you know. Just don't be afraid. It's one of the best ways, like I said, I think to start a network, to get yourself out there. You can learn a lot like I did. Go to LinkedIn, create your profile, start getting involved in the groups that are on there. It's another way to engage in conversation, build your network. There's a lot of great questions that are asked on there. I still have questions that I put on there of stuff that I'm doing, and I get really great feedback from people. Some of it's like solicited of, you know, come by our new Blinky box. It'll make what you're trying to do much better. Ignore that stuff, of course. But for the most part, you know, we're all on there to be able to make connections, find a job. A lot of it is recruiters that are on there. That's not necessarily a bad thing to have a recruiter calling you and asking you, hey, I've got this position that I think that your talents would be good for. So like I said, that's another great tool to build your network. So creating your security blog. You can use stuff like WordPress like I have. You can use your Tumblr, Blogger. All of those are great. It's really a great way to improve your writing skills, because I found that no matter what job you're doing, you're gonna have to write. You're gonna have to write a report, and you've got to make sure that what you're writing is being tailored to your audience. So, you know, on Twitter you write 140 characters or less, and we, you know, kind of hem and haw with the different verbiage that we use. But when you write something to a CEO that's going to go to a board, you have to be very careful in terms of what you're writing. And I think this is a great way to practice that. Some people are scared. I think, you know, I was scared at first to be able to start this. And I just started writing about whatever interested me. I think one of my first posts was actually about the pawn of Sony. So I just went on there and basically stated what had happened, what other people were saying about it, and gave my 2 cents as to, well, here's what Sony should do moving forward, and, you know, what other companies can do. And also make sure that you try and, if you do go this route and get a security blog, make sure you try and get it added to feeds like Security Bloggers Network. They're a great place to bring in your feed, and other ones you can look at other people's security blogs that they have out there, get ideas. Great way to drive traffic to your site too. It's just like I said, it's a great resource to get yourself out there. Yeah, at the end. Yeah. Huh? Okay. You know, another aspect with social is, again, of expanding your networks that you have. Twitter and everything is great, but you really want to get out there and be able to meet people. Joining groups like ISSA and NASIG are fun. You know, it's a little bit of a different crowd. Some of them, I haven't joined NASIG. I'm new to Seattle, and I know we've got a chapter there, so I've yet to make it there. But ISSA, I've been there. Went to the one in Milwaukee. I've gone to the one in Seattle. Some of them it's different just because of the fact that it is a little bit more corporate, but nonetheless, it's still networking. It's still people in your field. They still have going through the same stuff that you're going through. Yes, exactly. You know, they always have speakers. At least for the one in Milwaukee, it was great. They had speakers, and then they would give you they had a raffle for a book at the end. I mean, who doesn't love a free security book? You know, those things are like $50. So, you know, if you can get one of those, it's always good. You know, and who knows, somebody in there might actually have a job. A couple months ago, I went to a Agora meeting in Seattle. Pretty good turnout. I would say about 200 people, and they literally had people with signs on their back that said, I'm from Microsoft, I'm hiring, I'm from Amazon, I've got 4 or 5 positions. Yeah, well, they actually, like, yeah. But, yeah. So, like I said, there's jobs that are out there. I was impressed with that Agora meeting because of the fact, too, that was the first thing that they started out with, was that who in the audience has jobs, where are you sitting? You know, I think they even had somebody from, I think from the Army or something like that was there, too, that was hiring. People wanted to go into that route too. Like I said, it's another way to expand your network, get yourself out there, get yourself known. For your resume, one thing, you want to make sure that you are kept up to date on everything that is happening in the information security world. We all know that it changes daily, monthly, it's never the same. I really suggest using Google Reader, or I use NewsBlur too, and create yourself an RSS feed of all of the different websites that are out there. Like I've got, Threat Post, Search Security, Security Bloggers Network. I try and read at least 10 articles a day, so once I check emails in the morning, I've got about 5 articles I try and read, and then another 5 throughout the day. In regards to your resume, I also highly suggest you go on to infosecleaders.com. It's a great site. It's got lots of information on how to help your resume. They have lots of great examples of people that are, if you're lucky enough to have 2 companies kind of vying for you, and what should I go? This company has got kind of what I want, but this one might have a little bit more, and how should I go about doing that? It's just really great information. I believe Lee is going to be here. Lee and Mike are 2 of the creators of that site, very knowledgeable guys. When I was first getting into the field, I sent them an email and just said, well, how do I get into it? Here's what I'm currently doing as a web producer, and they really gave me great feedback as to, try and take that job. Working as a web producer, you do touch security because I was in the travel industry. We did work with credit cards, so I got some PCI experience and things like that. So I was able to turn that around in my favor. Again, staying current. Listen to podcasts. We all have a commute of some sort, whether it's train, car, whatever. Podcasts are great. Southern Fried Security, Paul.com, and Down the Rabbit Hole. Those are the 3 that I listen to. There's a ton of them that are out there, and they're all great. Really great way to be able to stay up on current information and so on. Attend free webinars. BrightTalk.com is a site that I really like, mostly because of the fact that it's free. And they have everything in information security that you could probably want, from privacy down to cloud to governance, you name it, it's on there. It's also a great way. One of my articles that I had on my blog where I was on IDS, and I watched the webinar that was on there, took a bunch of notes, put it back out on my blog and said, here's what I learned from this, here's good ideas of what as a company you can do. I still have hits on that article. It's information for you, information for other people. And like y'all are doing right now, attend a security conference like BSides or DerbyCon or any of the ones that are in your area or wherever. It's a great way to network. It's a great way to stay up to date on things that are going on. What better way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone than attend a conference? All right, so getting that hands-on experience. Everybody's catch-22. You've got all this knowledge, you want a job, but that place that you want to work for won't hire you because you don't have the 20 years of experience that they want. So how do you get it? I highly suggest creating a home lab. It's the easiest, probably not as expensive to do. I went and grabbed a book called Build Your Own Security Lab by Michael Gregg. Great book. Went everything from network to Metasploit, and forensics was built into there. Just a great book. It was like about $50 or so. With creating your home lab, when I went for my interview for my current position, my boss had asked me, well, what do you do to keep your skills up to date? Do you attend conferences and stuff? And I said, well, yeah, but I also have a home lab that I have. And we went into details about that. I told him, I said, well, I've got Snort running on there to play with. I've got that running into a database so that I can check the logs and see what's going on. I try and work with Metasploit, for me, as hard as it is. I try and just break what you can on there without actually being able to get arrested for it. So you can have free will. Like I said, go to a thrift store, grab a couple of boxes from there. I see them there all the time. They're like $5. Rebuild them. use it as a box to go after. Look for internships. Some places have them. They're not as prevalent as they used to be, but they are still out there. Some of them, if you're lucky enough, will pay. Otherwise, others they might not, but you're still gaining the knowledge that you can put down on your resume as well as the experience. Look for projects to help with. Some of us, I don't know if your parents come to it all about, hey, my computer doesn't work. That's all stuff that you can put down on there and say, okay, you know what, Mom, your computer's running slow. Let me help you with that. I bet you've got some malware on there or something like that. Go through there, find it, get rid of it, put it down and say, you know what, I maintain my home network, I maintain my parents' network, and here's what I do for it. I've set up firewalls, the whole works. Employers want to hear that. They want to hear that you're actually keeping up to date with stuff, that you're getting your hands dirty. Attend classes as well. For me, I went back to school, but not say that you actually have to go back to school or have to go for a degree. There's stuff that's out there. I know that I think the government puts on, I think it's by Homeland Security, but they've got little classes for information security and stuff like that of just general knowledge. And if you have a CISSP, I believe you can get the credit points that you need for it to keep that up to date. Make sure again too that you're documenting everything that you do. So if you set up a home lab and you're using Metasploit, make sure you're taking screenshots of those and you're putting that out on your blog or somewhere for an employer to be able to see you, whether it's your own website, whatever it is. Make sure that they're out there so that they can see that, yes, you're working with this type of technology and he used whatever latest exploit that there is and he was successful at it. And also, again, go for certifications and any training programs that you can. Sometimes if you're in certain groups on LinkedIn, they'll give you free training. I know they've got the stuff for the domains for the CISSP, certified ethical hackers sometimes appear on there where they give you free stuff. Certifications, if your employer will pay for them, that's even better yet because they are costly. So better have them pay for it than out of your own pocket. But if you can, if not, I still suggest going for them because it shows that you know the knowledge, shows that you took the time to learn that knowledge, and that you're able to apply it. So, finding a job. Watch for job posts on Twitter. I use TweetDeck. I think every day I see a job for either web app security, database, something. They're out there. I know Veracode is hiring right now. I believe White Hat is hiring right now. I think Matt J is supposed to be here tomorrow. I know he had put a tweet out earlier that had said that, hey, I'm hiring. If you can find me, give me your resume. So if you guys have copies of your resume, make sure you try and find him and give it to him. Great guy. I talked to him before. He's down in, I believe, Texas right now, but I know White Hat is all over. So he might have something there or elsewhere. Also, SecTwits for Hire. That's another great one on Twitter to follow because that's where places can go and post jobs, and you can also go on there with that hashtag there and say, hey, I'm a Linux guru, I need a job. Somebody might be able to find you on there. And they usually, when somebody does post something on there, they retweet it so you know that it's going to go out to whoever else's networks that are on there. Network jobs on LinkedIn, again, they're out there. There's a lot out there for security. You just got to dig. Research security companies. Check out the positions and follow them on Twitter. I found this to be very helpful. Not only that, because of the fact that you can see what they are looking for in, say, a pen tester. What skills are they looking for that you have that would match, that you would make you would want to apply for it? But at the same time, well, maybe I don't have that skill, and now I know that I need to get that skill so that I can apply for that job. Most of the time, they'll follow you back. Mandate was a company. They're based out of New York. I think they're also in LA, too. I had applied for a position with them for a security analyst, and they followed me back. And with that, I was able to talk to them a little bit more about the position rather than just kind of wonder what they were really looking for. I didn't get the job through them, but I was still able to talk to them and say, hey, I know you all looked at my resume, and you said I didn't have what you were looking for, but what were you really looking for, and what can I improve on there so that I am a little more looked at by you guys? Also, get locally involved. A lot of places have meetups. When I lived in Milwaukee, we had InfoSec, which is a group of security professionals, and basically we just got together at a bar, drank, and talked, kind of like what you do here, although you don't have to travel as far. There's other local events that are all over the place, so they're all on the internet. Google it, find it, get involved. Get involved with B-Sides, get involved with another conference that's going on. It's a great way to get yourself out there, network. You're covering all your bases. Who knows, somebody out there too might actually have a job for you. So again, good luck, and thanks for attending my talk. And we'll go with questions. Do you have a question? Sure. Thank you. No, that I didn't. I still I have a family to take care of, so I couldn't. I just tried to use what I was doing with that company and trying to gain whatever security that I could. I knew one of the guys, this main security guy that was there, and I tried to shadow him, if I could. Otherwise, I just tried to look at it and go, okay, well, I'm working with this technology. I'm working with JavaScript. What are the security vulnerabilities for that? What should I be looking for when I have to put it into a web page? Things like that. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yeah. Do you have another one? Yeah. Oh. Well, it is very challenging. I had set a goal that I was going to put out one every 2 weeks. I still haven't met that. I think the last one was that I was announcing that I was speaking here. Now I kind of try and shoot for once a month. Now my blog posts usually consist of the analysis that I'm doing for my company. I rip out Providence or whatever and kind of change it around so that it meets not so much of a corporate world, but more of a everybody's world. It is very hard. It is time consuming. A lot of you go out there and figure out what your, how many posters should be out there. People are going to tell you should be out there 5 times a day. Not all of us are going to have that time. Unless you're doing marketing and that's your job, then I could see that you would have that. But, I think if you were able to get out there once a month, get a good blog post out there, I think your traffic would be great. I think that's a goal that you should shoot for if you're going to go with a blog, at least try once a month. Let's see, what have I got right now? I did an analysis on FTP. That got I was surprised it actually got a high following. I had put it, I think, as alive or dead. Some places actually, believe it or not, still use it. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I found. And, and stuff like that, it's kind of like the best you can do is just kind of help them along and say, we don't recommend it. Try and use this, But that posted actually well. Actually made it grabbed, some feed actually grabbed it and put it on Microsoft's site. So I was really surprised and humbled by that. And then the network podcast was also featured in there. They were talking about it for a brief second too. So that was humbling and nice. Another one that I did an interview with Jack Daniel. Didn't know him. I followed him on Twitter, sent him an email and said, hey, would you mind doing an interview for my blog? He said sure, and that gets pretty high following as well too. Any other questions? Oh, sir. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, my current field is the healthcare. There's security in that. Obviously, we have HIPAA and everything else, but that's not necessarily like a bank or anything like that. Even in the travel industry, we're dealing with PCI and credit card numbers. So yeah, I tried to have a good mix as best as I could and kind of try to figure out and look at, okay, well, what industries are really going to have security and are going to be a need for it? And that's kind of the direction that I went. Sometimes you win, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. But yeah, that's a very good idea, is to look elsewhere too. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Do you have any experience with looking at careerbuilder.com?
I went on there, I filled out a bunch of stuff, I never got anything back. And a recruiter once told me that 80% of your jobs are not going to be found on Monster. They're not going to be found on CareerBuilder. And I really thought he was full of crap. I was like, whatever, dude. And he's like, no, it's going to be who you know. It's going to be on social media. And he's right. Well, yeah. You know what they paid for that? Yeah. No, I really think I'm not going to discourage you from going out there and looking on there because it is a good source. And yes, there are some jobs out there. But I really think going on Twitter, going on LinkedIn, that's where your jobs are going to be. That's where the people are. That's, I think, where that's going to be the most updated. Those jobs that are out there on Monster, they've been out there for months. Either HR hasn't taken them down yet, or maybe they haven't filled them, but they're also looking at 30 applications or more. So it's just going to stay up there until they fill it and decide they do. The money runs out, and we'll pull the ad. So Twitter is real time. I suggest going on there. You.
What do you recommend for someone who works in a company that heavily regulates their online community?
Well, yeah, 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 exactly. I would, yeah, but I wouldn't use. I mean, everybody here probably has a smartphone, iPhone, whatever. Use that. I wouldn't use their web. I wouldn't use Works Network to do that. You might want to use a different handle. I wouldn't maybe use your name. Come up with something different. But I guess what they don't know can't hurt them. I mean, my job was the same way. They regulated that too. They didn't want us on Facebook or any of that. And I used to sit there in my little cube with my phone and checking Facebook. And then finally they kind of opened up the doors, and I'm like, all right, I'll put TweetDeck on my computer, which is a mistake because productivity went down to 0. But anyone else? Mm-hmm.
And what really has happened is the jobs already allocated now.
Internal hires.
Yeah, something like internal hires, or they're required to post for so many days to meet some regulations, but they already have to post it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is that I actually, right now, I'm a QA software company, but there is a bit of a security stance to it, where some companies ask me to start doing security software testing. So that's when I'm coming up with companies. Unfortunately, that's one of the problems. They actually, I went to Black Hat training here in Untitled, and what they told me was they would not reimburse the Black Hat training.
Oh.
Because they consider it a hacker conference.
What? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Black Hat. So anyway,
What do they consider appropriate training? RSA.
Oh.
now, believe it or not, RSA is a sponsor of Black Hat, and guess what? They buy RSA products. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, I could go on and on about this decision, and I can do that after this. You guys basically kind of describe my path down this security path before to basically have the security software testing. So that's why I'm coming to these conferences to learn sequel injection and things like that. And in addition, I actually went and got my security plus certification as well. I just barely passed it at 751.
Ooh.
At a 750, 750
Yep.
was required
I agree with that because now being in it, I totally can see. Well, oh yeah, I know where they were talking about. You know, with the certain questions and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely.
So what I'm finding is QA is detail oriented. We have to write reports. We have to communicate with all levels of management.
Yep.
And it seems like, and maybe just a question is that basically the similar sort of thing I'm going to see on the security side as well?
Yeah, for me as an analyst, the analysis that I do goes straight to either our CEO or our head of our risk management department. And you have to be very careful. Really, you got to know who your audience is when writing something like that. You've got to be careful not to use too much technical terms that they're not going to understand. You know, what a CEO wants to know is the bottom line. What's my risk? What's this going to mean to me for my company? How much is it going to cost me? And what can we do to fix this problem that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg to be able to fix it? Can we just absorb the risk, or what needs to be done?
There was a report I had to write for the CEO, and what they wanted to do is get the product out the door on time. So kind of contract bonus, by the way. And I had to come back and say, no, you're not releasing it.
Nope.
This bug, if you release it, has a 10% chance of occurring every time somebody goes on your site. When it occurs, it will cost you $50,000.
See?
I was able to quantify it.
Yep.
Stopped it and said that they gave it another 2 weeks, which is what we really needed. And then it went out the door a little late, but they avoided that loss.
Yeah.
I know
See?
quite a few of the teams did have a QA contract with like event company, and they can do after like early, they did all the shit for them. So sometimes it backfires. Doing the right thing backfires.
You.
It's not just we don't understand from the perspective from the inside.
Straight up, recruiters can't take good with me there. They're absolutely not there. They're
Yep.
Two things listening to you that I get. One is you're not afraid to put yourself out there and make contacts. Absolutely important. My current job I got because the guy who called me up and said, "Hey, you want a job?" Right? It happens that way. And the other thing is you're doing security on your own time, and in your current role, you're doing security because it's your passion, is what you want to do, and you're just doing it. Even though it's not your job title, who cares? I mean,
Right.
no certifications, dropped out of college, I'm a senior engineer, right? It's because it was what I was doing.
Exactly. And talking with my boss the other day, I had asked him. I said, Plano, why did you hire me? I mean, I don't have any experience in security. All I have is what has come out of classroom work. And he said, it's your social. It's the fact that you went out on Twitter, that you talk to people, that you blog. We can see it's a passion for you. That's what we want. If you enjoy your job that much, something like that, you're going to be good at it.
And even beyond that, I do Artisan, and most of my problems are not technical problems. I can solve any problem I can find in the micro. They're people problems and managing them. So how do you get people? So it's, I can find a million people who have the snack screen, but someone to do that and influence people to do the right thing. That's the
Running a little lab at home is a real plus. It turns out you can get yourself in front of either managers hiring or just people who aren't that technical because they just think like this guy's got to be precise over there and back at home.
Because that's not the job you really want.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and HR departments are starting to come around. They're starting to see that Twitter and the social networks are a good medium to be able to recruit people because that's where people are. Yep. course.
Most of the jobs are actually stopping the
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's,
I come from what I've worked on inside security,
Mhm.
but the thing I would add is open source software development is crucial for a technical person.
mhm.
I'd rather see a good GitHub account than a good resume.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Anybody else a question?
Who's looking for jobs?
Ah.
I'm not sure how people are on your hands, though.
And I'm always looking, I love my job, I'm always looking for a new job.
Have you had jobs? No, like casual hiring.
Oh.
So if you're looking, you saw hands go up. You'll find people.
University of Kentucky, where I'm.
All right.
Just so you guys know, we're recording all of these presentations, so if there's anything you missed, give it about a week, check out irongeek.com, and you'll be able to see all the presentations from this weekend. This week, they're finished. So irongeek.com.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you all.